for coming to Show's Over. Something that I didn't mention in George's history is that he served as a something of the peace. What was it? Justice of the peace. And some of the people from the outlying areas where he served came to me one day in the town and said, "We like your old man. He's very fair." So we're here to celebrate my old man. That's the term in the north, and my good friend George. Thank you all for coming, and I'll turn this over to who's next on the... Colleen is next on the program. This is our daughter Colleen. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to read a poem written by my Uncle Roger, Mom's brother. It's called The Language of There. Yes, there, light will be our language, a tongue without words for perhaps, or arid, or futile. Through shadow will be retained, that we may contrast the radiance, almost will no longer be a measure. We will learn 100 synonyms, that's a tough one, for certitude, and love will have 1,000 conjugations. Ours will be italicized vocabulary of delectable astonishments. The possessive case will play no part in the grammar of joy and burgeoning. Infants will speak at birth, and only the ancients will remember the obscenity exile. There, laughter will be spelled in capitals, sadness grow obsolete, and negation be declared archaic. Hell will be pronounced remoteness, and vast tomes will be devoted to the derivations of yes. Where all is elation and surprise, exclamation points will fall into disuse. There, food and affection will be ours for a smile, and immortality for a fluent, knowing wink. In time, our desire to speak will abandon us. All that need to be said, the light will say, yes. Roger White, 1992. Okay, I'm going to ask Kevin to come up next. So my brother Kevin.
So this is us saying goodbye to Georgie Porgy, or Jorge as we like to call him. Prayer called from the sweet scented dreams. From the sweet scented dreams of thine eternity, give me to drink, O my God, and the fruits of the tree of thy being enabled me to taste, O my hope. From the crystal springs of thy love, suffer me to quaff, O my glory, and beneath the shadow of thine everlasting providence, let me abide, O my light. Within the meadows of thy nearness, before thy presence, make me able to roam, O my beloved, and the right hand of the throne of thy mercy seat me. O my desire, from the fragrant breezes of thy joy, let a breath pass over me. O my goal, and into the heights of paradise of thy reality, let me gain admission. O my adored one, to the melodies of thy drove and and thy oneness suffer me to hearken. O resplendent one, and through the spirit of thy power and thy might quicken me, O my provider. In the spirit of thy love, keep me steadfast, O my securer, and in the path of thy good pleasure set firm my steps, O my Maker. Within the garden of thine immortality, thy countenance let me abide forever. O thou who art merciful unto me, and upon the seat of thy glory establish me, O thou who art my possessor. To the heaven of thy loving kindness lift me up, O my quickener, and unto the day star of thy guidance lead me, O thou my attractor. Before the revelations of thine invisible spirit, summon me to the present. O thou who art my origin and my highest wish, and unto the essence of the fragrance of thy beauty, which thou wilt manifest. Cause me to return, O thou who art my God. Potent art thou to do what pleases thee. Thou art verily the most exalted, the all-glorious, the all-highest. And next is Jeremy.
This is a poem by Abdul Baha. O Lord, so rich in bounty, so replete with grace, whose knowledge doth mine inmost heart and soul embrace. At morn, the solace of my soul is none but thee, the knower of mine ardent goal is none but thee. The heart that for a moment hath thy mention known will seek no balm save longing pain for thee alone. Withered be the heart that sigheth not for thee, and better blind the eye that crieth not for thee. In all mine hours of deepest gloom, O Lord of might, my heart hath thy remembrance for a shining light. Do, through thy favor, breathe thy spirit into me, that what hath never been may thus forever be. Consider not our merit and our worth, O Lord of bounty, but the grace thou pourest forth. Upon these broken-winged birds whose flight is slow, out of thy tender mercy, new-found wings bestow.
O thou provider, O thou forgiver, a noble soul hath ascended unto the kingdom of reality, and has hastened from the mortal world of dust to the realm of everlasting glory. Exalt the station of this recently arrived guest, and attire this long-standing servant with a new and wondrous robe. O thou peerless Lord, grant thy forgiveness and tender care, so that this soul may be admitted into the retreats of thy mysteries, and may become an intimate companion in the assemblage of splendors. Thou art the giver, the bestower, the ever-loving. Thou art the pardoner, the tender, the most powerful. Abdul Baha.
service, so I'm going to ask George's son, Peter, to come up and say a few words and just do a reading for us. Thank you.
I'd first just like to thank you all for coming today. It really means a lot to everybody here and my family. This is a reading from the writings of Baha'u'llah. Know thou that every hearing ear, if kept pure and undefiled, must at all times and from every direction hearken to the voice that uttereth these holy words. Verily, we are God's, and to him shall we return. The mysteries of man's physical death and of his return have not been divulged and still remain unread. By the righteousness of God, were they to be revealed, they would evoke such fear and sorrow that some would perish, while others would be so filled with gladness as to wish for death and beseech with unceasing longing the one true God, exalted be his glory, hasten their end. Death proffereth unto every confident believer the cup that is life indeed. It bestoweth joy, and is the bearer of gladness. It conferreth the gift of everlasting life. As to those that have tasted of the fruit of man's earthly existence, which is the recognition of the one true God, exalted be his glory, their life hereafter is such as we are unable to describe. The knowledge thereof is with God alone, the Lord of all words. From Baha'u'llah.
Okay, now I'm going to ask Cecilia. So Cecilia is George's granddaughter, my brother Roger's daughter. And she's going to sing for us, accompanied by her friend down to about 6 minutes. So hopefully he was able to do that, and we'll hear from Roger next. Thank you so much.
Let's take 13. I'm here to celebrate the life of George Collins. I first met George in the late July, early August of 1987. George had driven someone up from a Baha'i camp that they were having in Fort Vermilion in northern Alberta, and someone needed a ride north. So George had come in, and someone had said to him to look up Al and Eileen Vale in Hay River. So he phoned my mom, not knowing who she was, in that he'd actually met her when he was a young man. So Mom sent me to town to meet him and bring him out to the old homestead, which I did. And so my first impression was that George kind of looked like the Money's Mushroom Man. And I kind of used to joke about that in the early days. Immediately, though, I liked George, and he was, very very easy to get along with and have discussions with and talk to. And so after my father passed, I guess stuff happened, and he and my mother then got married in I think it was not in the March of 1990. I think he was the best partner my mother ever could have hoped for. He really complimented her, and I think they had a really strong relationship. As well as, George being an Ontario guy coming up to the north, I think initially I kind of suspected that they might actually move back to Ontario, which, would have been okay, their choice. But to my surprise, he stayed in Hay River and really became entrenched in the community and with the family. George is was very kind, patient, steadfast. His hardworking nature, he came in and became an adult educator and contributed immensely in the community. Actually, yesterday I ran into one of his old students that lives here in Fort Smith, Arliss, and I let Arliss know, and he was sad to hear about George's passing, because George factored big in his early adult life when he was sort of getting his life together and studying. And he once again joked over the fact that George always used to catch him playing solitaire on the computer when he was supposed to be studying. So, but George had a way with people and relationship building and laughing and joking and kidding with people to get them, his students to get motivated about what they were learning. George was very kind with our kids and subsequent grandkids. As young parents, we were often going to Yellow Knife Corps and I to coach sports, and the girls would get dropped off with Grandma and Papa, and Papa really took them under, not that Grandma didn't, but Papa really took them under his wing, and he would play games with them and read stories and have discussions with them, and we always really appreciated that. And Grandma and Papa's house was very warm and welcoming, and even for the older grandchildren, Jeff and Cecilia, they also found that as a place that they could spend time, and it was home, very homey. So George really, like I said, entrenched himself in the community. He was well respected in Hay River, became a justice of the peace till he was 75, and they forced him to retire. Part of that being a justice of the peace was his problem solving came out in. He was dealing with new culture and people like he used to do JP and Justice of the Peace in Fort Resolution, which is historically a very tough community to deal with because the people really don't get along with each other. There's family infighting to this day, and George just seemed to be able to navigate all that, problem solve, and help the people in Fort Resolution along as with Hay River. I realize everyone's sad and grieving, or a lot of people are, because of the importance role they played in our lives. Friend and father and grandfather, and but I'm really here to celebrate because he's free. I think I personally been grieving the loss of George over time because of dementia, and tougher and tougher to have those meaningful visits we used to have, and but he's free now, and all the best to him. I'm sure that God has a place for him in the next world. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the service.
George was a volunteer, and he volunteered through most of his adult life. Interesting thing, when he was 17 and in school, the school principal came and said, "This lady wants to go with her daughter to New York, and I think you're just the guy to drive them." So at 17, George was driving, luckily, a lovely Cadillac to New York City, and he then brought the mother and daughter back to Brantford, Ontario. And that's a virtue of reliability, for sure. And one of his caregivers said to me the other day, English is not his first language. He said, "I don't know as how was for you, but for me was a good guy." And I have to agree. I had 33, nearly 34 precious years with that good guy. I think then I would ask you to follow George as we make our way out to the vehicle and to the interment. That's it. I can stop talking now?